Ow! So I actually like that this segue into the next point. So I actually wanted to start this one.
Go ahead.
As a black person, and no, I'm not blackface. I'm not painting my face black. Oh, and I'm assuming I'm black by how much the cops want to pull me over. So.
Well, to be fair, you do drive on the sidewalk.
Yeah, okay, well, that's my right as a God-given American, damn it. But anyway, so what got me thinking, I was watching a YouTuber reaction video to the Brown v. Board of Education, the ruling that overturned segregation.
Yes.
Okay. And it was, I'll even say the YouTuber who was reacting to it. It was Vlogging Through History, I believe is his channel.
Shout out.
Historian who often do videos where he goes to historic sites or he react to historic videos. And one thing that the video was saying was, even though Brown v. Board of Education overturned segregation, it did not instantly make segregation go away overnight. It was still systematically built into the American system, and it was a very long and grueling process. And even now, you can argue there's still elements of it.
It's a harsh argument, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
You can definitely make that argument, though.
Yeah, no, but not
in the way most people think. Not in the way most people think, but you can argue there is a type of segregation still going on.
Yeah, and I can argue that segregation is trying to be brought back by the woke people, but let's
well, that's actually bringing me to my argument for Black History Month.
Yeah.
I feel Black History Month is the last form of segregation in our school system.
Oh, then yes, I completely agree.
Because that got me thinking after watching that video. Because the whole argument that they made about segregation in that case was, if you have to separate, then you're implying that it's not equal at that point.
Yeah, no, completely.
That was the whole argument behind, to sum up all of Brown versus Board of Education. If you have to separate, that implies there's inequality somewhere in the system between the two parties.
I agree with that completely.
And that got me thinking, well, if you have to separate Black History Month into its own month, why can't it just be part of history? Why can't it just be American history? Why do you have to separate Black history into its own month?
Yes.
Not to mention, why are you separating it into the shortest month of the year? Argument, I got your back on that one because that had me up at night. You gave us the damn shortest month of the year, U.S. American government. Don't think we mistaken that. We knew about that.
Hey, yeah, no, I agree. No, I fully agree.
But that got me, because I'm just thinking, it's like, why are you segregating our history to be separated? You don't do Irish American History Month. You don't do, there actually is a freaking Native American History Month, so I can't actually, I think
there is?
Yes, it's called Indigenous People Month, and I think it takes place right after February. I think it starts in March.
I don't recall that being ever a thing.
Zed literally just, if you don't mind, Google Indigenous People Month. I'm pretty sure it takes place like right after Columbus Day, if memory serves.
And if I remember right, isn't
Juneteenth?
Yeah, no, Juneteenth. I think June, which a lot of black people said, wait a damn minute, you took our Juneteenth holiday and made it into Pride Month. I think Pride Month is June. I might be wrong, but I believe that was a thing.
I think you're right. I think Pride Month is possibly June.
Wow.
The only thing I'm getting typing in Indigenous History Month is that Native American Heritage Month is November.
There we go. I knew it was a particular month. It's November because of the Thanksgiving. That's why.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they all get that story wrong.
Yes. That's a story for another day, easily.
Yeah, that's gonna be a video all on its own.
Okay, heaven knows we can definitely go down the rabbit hole with Native American history, but
Yeah, there's enough rabbit hole with Black history. Not going
and
on
argument you brought the thing up yesterday with the whole
Yeah.
why is
Yeah,
it only slavery for Black history?
Yeah. That. So, do you want me to tell this part or?
Yeah, no, you can go. Go ahead.
Okay. So, like, the two of us were in a bookstore checking it out, and section of African studies. And my comment was, look at this. Like 3/4 of the books on African American studies are about slavery, and like the other third is about the civil rights movement. There is almost nothing else. That is all that Black history is taught. It's taught this one little section. I mean, there is far more to Black history than that. You know, Black people actually, believe it or not, did contribute to this country. They've done some great things that they did not get credit for. And here's the thing, though, is that all these activists are saying we got to give Black people credit. They're not giving them credit. I mean, nobody knows who Bass Reeves is. Nobody knows who Ben Bucky. I mean, if you were to
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong.
Europe.
Sorry, go ahead.
Europe. He was the person who inspired Louis Armstrong into jazz. He was a Black person responsible. They say he's possibly the Black person responsible for bringing jazz to Europe. Ironically enough, a Black man named Europe is the person who brought jazz to Europe.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's my point. Is that when you ask people, like, you know, if you ask them to name a Black person who wasn't like a civil rights activist or wasn't a slave, then probably the most you get is George Washington Carver,
Yep.
the guy who invented peanut butter.
Which is
and
technically
he didn't
wrong.
even do that.
Yeah, that's technically wrong.
It's like, sorry to all you out there. I'm sorry, George Washington Carver did not invent peanut butter. That is a myth. It was actually invented in Canada.
Yeah, he invented many
Over
different uses
300
for
uses.
peanut, but one of them was not peanut butter.
Yeah, it's ironic. He invented all these different uses for peanut and peanut oil, but he never came up with peanut butter. I mean, that seems like it'd be the first one you come up with.
I don't know. If someone said to me peanut butter and I've never heard of it before, I'm like, what type of dumbass invention is that? Who's gonna want to put peanuts in their butter? you prove me wrong. If someone said put peanuts into your butter,
Shadow Artfox, believe it or not, peanut butter, not peanut butter, but peanut flavored butter is an actual thing. It's actually not bad.
And I will never eat it.
Believe it or not, it's not bad. It's a little weird, but it's not bad. Sorry, tangent there, not important. But you see my point. But that's the point that we're making, is that when they think of Black history, they only focus on this small portion, and they focus on slavery and civil rights movement, and they basically focus on some of the worst part of American history, or better. Like, I especially take a lot of offense that they completely ignore Bass Reeves.
What get me, and I think I know why they don't focus on Bass Reeves, and I think I know why they don't focus on some of the other blacks arguments.
Well,
I was just thinking about this, and it just came to me.
What is your theory? Let's see if it matches mine.
Okay, at what time period in American history do Bass Reeves really take place?
Literally right after slavery. He
Reconstruction.
Was a slave.
It take place during Reconstruction. What's the most effed up point of history besides slavery for a Black person?
Reconstruction.
Exactly. They're still ashamed that they screwed up Reconstruction hugely. And most of the Black people, and I think most of the things I can never remember about Black people when they actually did invent a whole lot of stuff and take a huge part in American society was during Reconstruction, which is a point that most Americans never like to talk about.
Yeah. Which I understand why. They did screw up, but
that's all the more reason you have to talk about it.
Yeah, but also is that there were some, but you see, my thing is, I have a theory of why they don't specifically talk about Bass, is because Bass Reeves doesn't fit the narrative of victim mentality that's come around lately. Like, have you ever noticed that nowadays, whoever's the biggest victim wins?
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, if you can prove that you're the biggest victim, has been, victimize the most, you win. It doesn't matter. Nobody can criticize you. You're golden. It's like, see, that's I think the biggest problem with Bass Reeves, because Bass Reeves never played victim.
Oh, he never wanted to.
Yeah, no. I mean, he followed the law, and he actually one of the best scenes of Bass Reeves that I have ever seen, because he's been in very few movies or any media.
He's never had his own movie, which get me.
No, he has had a few, but they are not great. They're independent movies as well, which I sent you the text message with the new one.
Yes,
right?
I'll look that up after this too.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, one of the best renditions I've really seen of Bass Reeves was just a few moments. It was actually in PBS. I'm sorry. No, I was right. Masterpieces Around the World in 80 Days, David Tennant. Very good show. I highly recommend watching it. But in the episode, he comes to America and he stumbles across Bass Reeves of all things. And I wasn't sure how I felt about this Bass Reeves, but they got the character down in one moment. So basically, Bass Reeves was taking a Ku Klux Klan like high general back for trial for the murder of several people, and he escaped for a while, and he was later caught. Phineas Fogg, which is David Tennant's character, had him at gunpoint and told him to put it down. And he put down the gun and surrendered. And he asked him, "Would you have really shot me in cold blood?" And Phineas Fogg didn't answer. But then Casper, played by a black man in the series, comes up, puts a gun to his head, and goes, "He wouldn't, but I would." And he's about to pull the trigger. And I don't think any of us would blame him, because this was a white supremacist, 100%. Not the fake kind that everybody who just disagrees with things. This was 100% a white supremacist, a Ku Klux Klan member.
Oh yeah, and this is back during Reconstruction, and if you think the KKK is bad now, back during Reconstruction, give people context, they would literally label as domestic terrorists to the point that President Grant sent the military in a pitched battle with cannons to destroy them.
That's still one of his proudest moments, in my opinion.
That is still why he's in my top president list, right there.
Damn right. But okay, so anyway, then Passepartout, who again is a black man, kill him. And none of us would have blamed him. But Bass Reeves stood up and said, "No, don't do it. That's not how we win.
Yes.
We don't win by being them. We win by being better.
Yes.
We win by being better than them." And he talked them down. That is Bass Reeves.
Yes, and that is his. I wish I could say, oh, that's something that would be dramatized. Yes, while he never did that specifically for KKK, I think there is one story of him doing something very similar.
No, that's his character. Again, the whole thing was dramatized. It's Around the World in 80 Days, but that is his character. He often said, "We have to be better."
To
he
give you
treated white people and black people the exact same way.
To give you guys another idea of just how that was ideally his character, the guy, his son committed a crime. He straight up found his son, caught his son, brought him in to the jail.
Yes.
He arrested his own son and took him in. And made sure that he wouldn't escape and that he would face his punishment. And this was his firstborn son, his eldest son.
Yep.
And his eldest son, he did take his crime, he took his punishment, and he got out early on good behavior.
Yeah.
Said that he became a model prisoner.
Good for him. But yeah, no, so that's Bass Reeves' character down to. That's like to show him that, because he doesn't play the victim. He says everyone should be treated equally. And that's what bothers me, is now that especially the new generation says, "Oh, we should make black-only spaces because black people don't feel safe around white people." I'm like, wait a goddamn minute. Wasn't the civil rights movement the way to stop this?
Let's go back to segregation. That's a good idea.
Like, wait a minute. So it was wrong when white people did it, but if black people do it, it's fine. Wait a goddamn minute here. No, that's not how this works.
No, black people don't want to do this. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but me as a black person do not want to go through this.
Yeah, I mean, right? I'm sorry, but just saying, no, it's different because this is black-only spaces. I'm like, how is it different? Like, literally, how is it any different?
No, that's exactly what segregation is.
That is segregation to a T, and that is what woke people want. And it's just, I don't understand it. I don't. There was an entire movement for this.
Part of me used to understand it because I'm like, I know people didn't like this, but I honestly thought this was the whole premise behind it, was white guilt.
No, I believe that.
Because part of me saw that with the early movement of the woke culture. I'm like, okay, there seemed like a lot of white guilt going on. And I'm like, okay, for someone who probably never knew about Reconstruction or how bad slavery really was, or how racist America really used to be back in the day. I mean, I can understand being taken back and wanting to give many benefits to minorities because of this. But at the same time, it's getting to the point where you're being more racist. Like, take for example, colleges. How nowadays colleges will ask you your ethnicity and give minorities precedence over people who got better grades.
Yeah, instead of academic prowess, it's basically, it is racism. I'm sorry.
It is racism. Now, I understood where the argument originally came from, in the sense of you have a bunch of minorities who they would come from very broken education system in ghetto neighborhoods, and and I can understand. Okay, you want to give them an edge because you kind of screw them over through their whole education career, and you want to give them an edge now when they're going into the adult education years. I somewhat see the argument there, but at the same time, it's getting to the point that it's like, rather than trying to fix the problem after it's been made, why don't you try to fix the actual school systems of these bad neighborhoods first?
Yeah. No,
but they don't want to do that, because that would require them to actually go in and fix bad neighborhood, troubled neighborhood with gangs and drugs pumped into them.
Yeah, and theirs becomes a new problem, is that if you try to say these call you a racist. I mean, plenty of people come up and say we need to fix it. How dare you're not a black? You can't say that. That's harming them. Like, wait a minute. Admitting there's a problem, is that racist? How is that racist?
I'm black and I'm admitting there's a problem. There's a huge fucking problem.
Exactly. I mean, it's not racist to say there's a problem. What's racist is everything's fine and then saying, oh, they just can't help themselves because of
That's super racist.
That's freaking racist, and that's what they say.
That's super racist.
I mean, the best argument I can think of is that is one that I saw. Do you remember when I think Georgia had those new voting rights put in?
Which ones?
The ones where you had to show ID to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so literally people came out in droves saying it was racist. And one of the videos I found most fascinating was I don't remember who it was, but some guy went out and he asked a bunch of people in a liberal city. It was New York. He asked a bunch of people in New York, a whole bunch of white people actually, did they think the new laws were racist? And they all said yes. They said why? Their answers were pretty much this. Well, because, they demand to show ID, and, a lot of black people don't have ID because black people can't figure out how to get the IDs, or they don't have access to it.
So why did they instantly assume it was only black people?
They always assume it's only black people. And a few of them said it too. It's like brown people, they can't get basic ID. They don't know where the DMV is. They can't get to it. It's harder for them to get ID. I'm just going, what?
No, we know where the DMV is. The reason we think it's racist is because the freaking the people who probably are going to get asked to show their ID are mostly going to be black people. That's the thing that's going to piss people off.
Well, no, that was the thing. So the guy then went to Harlem and he started asking people, hey, do you know where the DMV is? Yeah, of course I do. And he asked them, do you have ID? And they're like, well, and one guy, I loved his answer. He was a black guy, and I think about his 50s or I want to say early 60s. And he asked him, "Do you have ID?" And he just looked at him and said, "Boy, who the hell don't have ID nowadays? What stupid question is that?"
I mean,
He said
yeah.
it, he said it funnier than I am. You can imagine the accent, but yeah, that's the thing is that I'm sorry, these liberals who say, oh, we're not racist at all, we're helping, like, they are the most racist people I've ever met. Because they literally think black people can't do anything. They think black and brown people are completely helpless. And it's astounding. Like, I'm sorry, but the whole point is the color of your skin does not determine who you are. The color of skin determines what you are, sure, but it doesn't determine who you are. It is your choices that determine who you are. This whole country was literally founded on the fact that you yourself and the choices you make determine your path, not who your father was. That was the point. Now, to be fair, we didn't always follow it. Slavery was a black mark on that we did not know what to do with. We argued about it for ages, and we went to a middle ground, and we had a bloody civil war about it because we couldn't just, figure it out.
And then we did Reconstruction, which was almost just as bad, if not even worse, than slavery.
Exactly. We had to have a whole civil rights movement. And a lot of blood was spilled, but that's the thing, is that it's a lot better now. I'm sorry, it is.
No, it is better.
America's near as racist as it used to be. And honestly, I argue that it was dying very quickly until this woke bullshit came back and is basically trying to breathe life in. And why? It was dying. We were good. Why do you want to bring this back? This was a horrible part of America. You should know about it, but you shouldn't dwell on it. I mean, and you especially shouldn't demand that white people alive today pay for slavery that nobody was alive. Nobody who has done it is alive anymore.
Okay, so that brings me to my next point, which was reparations.
Yeah.
My argument on reparation is I don't like it. It took me a lot of back and forth thought, and it made me come to the situation. I don't like it mainly for this reason. You are literally quantifying the suffering of an entire people for what, over several centuries?
Wait, are you talking about America or slavery?
Slavery. In terms of reparation for slavery.
No, slavery in America or slavery
Slavery in America, because it's America.
Okay, and
that was at least one whole
America.
century. One whole century. It's a century and a half, a decade at least. I mean, a half of a century.
Yeah, a little over a century.
I want to say 150 years at the very least.
150 years would be the max. Yes.
Yes.
So a century and a half.
Yeah, a century and a half. You can argue Reconstruction became a form of slavery because the slaves couldn't leave their land because of financial situations.
No, yeah, I get it.
So that's why I said century. I'm throwing Reconstruction into that when I'm saying slavery. I'm throwing Reconstruction and slavery together, which come out to centuries. That's where I'm getting the centuries from.
Yeah,
to
okay.
add context.
No, Reconstruction was kind of look, Reconstruction was a clusterfuck.
Yes.
Let's just leave it at
That's why I'm grouping Reconstruction in with slavery. That's why I'm saying centuries.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better if Lincoln lived, but he didn't, and it's a shame.
Yes. So that's why I'm going to associate Reconstruction with slavery in this situation in terms of reparations.
Fair enough. No, that it's good enough.
Because I honestly do believe, if there's anything, reparation for Reconstruction will also be on the table. But
yeah, no, I mean, again, it's not exactly the same thing, but the argument is not worth it.
The argument can be made, and no one. That's an argument. That's a hill no one wants to die on, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm not willing to die on that. Yeah, it was way too bad for me to want to die on.
Yeah, you do not want to die on that argument of a hill. But to get back to the point, I don't like reparations mainly because you're trying to qualify the suffering of millions of people for a century and a half into a dollar amount and say that makes it all right. Which, in my opinion, it's like that would be me saying, how much reparation do the German people have to pay for the Holocaust?
Well, remember, they did that. Look how that turned out.
They did that, but at the same time, that doesn't make it right, in my opinion. Paying for a mistake does not make it right. In the sense of a financial payment is what I'm making by payment.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I would accept that. I agree with that, but I also don't like reparations. But my reason is this: is that one is that you let's put it aside the argument whether or not reparations are deserved. Putting aside that argument, I don't think reparations are a good idea because first of all, especially if you want to give out reparations now, which a lot of people. First of all, I'm sorry, everyone. There's no one alive today who was a slave. I'm sorry, there's not. You can talk about, oh, but I feel my ancestors' pain. No, you don't. You don't, because your ancestors had a lot more dignity. I'm sorry, no, you don't know your ancestors' pain. Don't start with me on that crap. But the problem with giving out reparations today, especially, is that essentially two things: is that one, it's a bad idea to give anybody anything free because they're going to expect it, and they didn't earn it. And two, they're always going to want more. It will never be enough, ever. No matter how you could give every black person $2 million, I guarantee you they'll be coming back demanding more. They will always want more and more and more. And that's my main problem, is that when you basically incentivize people not to earn anything, not to work, everything falls apart because they become entitled to it. They feel, well, we should have more. We got it this. Why should we again? And that's my issue with it. Especially since, I'm sorry, no one alive today, well, there is still slavery in the world, but let's sidetrack that for a minute. None of the people alive today who are demanding reparations have been a slave in America. I'm sorry, but that's how it is.
My thing is, there's other thing. If we're going by that logic, there are things that America have done to actually, for people who are still living, that can demand reparation. For example, the soldiers who was in segregated armies who never received any medals because of that.
Yes,
there's still veterans alive from the Korean War, which was the last time of a segregated army in the U.S.
Yes, and to be fair, the government is trying to rectify that a little bit. Not very much.
Not very much. The fact that it took so long for, what was it, the Harlem Hell's fighter to earn a Medal of Honor for his action in World War I.
Yes,
also, another group that need a movie that never got a movie.
You're talking about that? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were continuing.
The Harlem Hellfighters. They never got their own movies.
Yeah, and another group that's never talked about is the Tuskegee Airmen. But you know what? Again, that's what pissed me off about Black History Month is they claim Black History Month, but then they don't focus on much Black history.
No.
They really don't. Like, people have asked me once, oh really, who do you know other than Martin Luther Bass Reeves? Benjamin, I'm slaughtering his last name, but it's like Benjamin Buckingham or Buccaneer, something like that. The black guy who designed Washington D.C. Well, who helped design it? Like, technically, it started by a French architect. It was Benjamin Buccaneer, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who he's talking about.
Or was it Benakier? Bonkier? I can never pronounce his last name. I'm sorry to all. Like, I can never pronounce the guy's last name. I've heard it 3 times and I still can't get it. But you know who I'm talking about. But that's my point, is that they don't teach some of the more interesting people and honestly, that goes back to your original point, which was actually, I like what Morgan Freeman said about it, was he said, he didn't like Black history, and the guy who was interviewing said, why not? Well, wait a minute.
Banneker. That's who you're thinking of. Benjamin Banneker.
Okay,
Banneker.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's how I'm pronouncing it.
Okay. But Morgan Freeman had the same point you had. Was was talking to him, and the guy was white, and he's telling him, well, why are you segregating my entire history
to a single month? Yeah,
why are you segregating to a single month? I mean, did we do that to your history? Can we only learn about Black history with 1 month? When's white history? Do we do that? When's White History Month?
Yeah.
And he was saying that it's all just American history.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's have it American history. And I agree with him. And he was also saying, the best way to stop race, and he was asking, well, what do you think the best way to stop race? Morgan Freeman looked at him and said, "Stop talking about it.
Exactly.
I'm going to stop calling you a white man. You stop calling me a black man, and we all just call each other what we are, man and woman.
Stop
men, women.
Stop.
Sorry to the trans people, man and woman.
Let's do even better. Why don't we just call each other Americans?
Damn right. I'm all for that. That's what I want. I mean, that's how you get rid of racism. Stop freaking talking about it. It's all right to understand it and learn about it, but don't dwell on it. And don't demand people of today to pay for stuff they don't even know about. Like, nowadays in schools, like, there are teachers who are making white kids apologize to black kids.
And that got me into the main reason I want to get rid of Black History Month, to stop these stupid teachers from making these stupid mistakes. It seems every February I have to see a new issue of a white teacher or any teacher doing something super racist during Black History Month.
Right.
I mean, I've seen one month where a teacher took the kids on a field trip and took them to a field to pick cotton.
Yeah.
I'd seen another one where a teacher dressed up in blackface.
That happened this year too.
I seen another one where a teacher, what you say, Archimedes, a teacher made them apologize to black kids for slavery.
Yep.
Just stop it. Oh my goodness, we're getting into super racist territory with this.
No, I completely agree. Because it is racist. I mean, and they're kids. They don't even understand this. And they shouldn't. I mean, that's the thing, is that racism has to be taught. Little kids, they don't understand racism. They don't get it. And they won't get it until somebody, hey, you're racist because of this. And that's why so many people are critical of critical race theory, because you can say whatever you want, but what it basically teaches, need to be ashamed for the sin of slavery. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. No! Slavery needs to be understood so it never happens again. But you shouldn't blame people alive today for something that they are part of, that they have any say in or participate in.
Well, what I find really funny is they want to talk about, if we want to talk about slavery, we can easily start talking about the sweatshops and the mines and the blood diamond mining and all the actual slavery that's still going on legitimately that we don't talk about and we sweep under the rug. Is like, how you think your your Apple product was made? I can guarantee you it wasn't made with fair labor.
Oh, hell no. Not even close. I mean, you want to talk about slavery? We can talk about still happening around the world. Africa, India, Arabia. I mean, there are places where you and I can both be still sold as slaves.
Oh, yeah.
What's funny is this white person, I'll actually go. Out of curiosity, how does that make you feel?
Wait, I couldn't hear you. You cut out there.
I was saying, ironically, in some cases, since I'm white, I'm considered more exotic. It would actually go for.
Oh, a higher price?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, how does that make you feel as a black person?
I mean, anything. Well, of course they're gonna undersell me. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about India.
I didn't.
You're straight up talking about India. I know for a fact you're talking about India, and you're talking about parts of Africa. I know which parts you're referring to too, as well.
Yeah, I totally am. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. You're right. There's a caste system. Gandhi fought against the damn caste system.
Right.
Wasn't that one of Gandhi? Again, my Indian history is very off, but I vaguely recall Gandhi's whole fight was against the caste system.
Yes. Yes. No. Absolutely.
Which I believe wasn't it. One of the caste system that he was fighting against was the one against light and dark skins, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's correct, but I admit my knowledge.
Again, my Indian knowledge of Gandhi is very limited because it's been a while since I studied him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't study him in great depth either. So I'm gonna say that I believe that's right, but I will also acknowledge my history lessons on him to use a refresher. But yeah, that's my point, is that if you want to talk about slavery, let's talk about, the slavery that's still going on in the world. And most of all, let's not pretend that it was just. See, that's the thing, is that nowadays you ask people slavery. No, we didn't.
Wait, sorry,
I mean,
you cut
no,
out there.
Oh, well, because nowadays if you ask people about slavery in general, they'll say, well, white people invented slavery. I'm like, no, we frickin' didn't.
No.
Slavery's old.
Slavery had been around since tribal warfare.
Yeah, I mean, the only institution older than slavery is prostitution. And honestly, that might not be true.
No, slavery is older. Because
No,
slavery was around since we have literally dated slavery back to the days of the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthals. I don't think we found any cave prostitutes yet.
Well, you know what? No, I was going to make a joke, but let's not get there.
I don't believe we found any cave woman prostitutes just yet.
Yeah, let's keep this a little clean. But, yeah, no, and that's the thing, though. It's just... but that's the thing, is that nowadays people are like, oh, slavery... There are people who go on TV and tell that. I mean, one of the news networks, I've heard people say stuff like that, and it's just like, no! That's not true. In fact, honestly...
That's historically false when you say it that way.
No, historically it's very false. And, like, honestly, the whole thing about, race being a part of slavery was actually very late in the history of slavery.
No, originally slavery was tribal. Again, it's tribal. Slavery literally dates back to tribal history, which was if your tribe took out another tribe, you either had to kill all the people of that tribe or you had to enslave them.
Exactly. And before that, I mean, for the longest time, white people enslaved white people, black people enslaved black people, Indians enslaved Indians. I mean, it was very strong versus weak. That was it. And then later on, see, that's what they don't get, is when, the Atlantic slave trade happened, the slave trade was already going on. Now, the Europeans made it worse. I acknowledge that. They made it global.
Yes.
But it wasn't just the Europeans. It was also the Arabs.
Well, they was the main proponent of slavery before the European market came in with the Atlantic slave trade.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sorry, the Arabs also tried to keep it going. Various European countries tried to stop the slave trade.
Yeah, they tried to keep it going all the way up throughout, I believe, through the end of World War One, I believe. I think it ended with the fall of the Ottoman Empire for the majority. Not completely, but for the large scale that we've seen, I think it ended with the Ottoman Empire, if I'm not mistaken.
No, yeah, it ended around the fall of the Ottoman Empire. That is correct.
That would be my understanding, because I know the Ottoman really kept it going.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the point of their empire, but when their empire fell, yes, it's still going on in several countries, but not on the scale that we used to see on an imperial scale.
No, it's much smaller now. Thank God for that. But no, that's the thing, is that nobody wants to talk about that. It's
because you gotta acknowledge how people are still doing it.
Yeah, and that was actually the thing. Because I recently watched The Woman King. It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
to be fair,
I'm debating whether to see that or not.
Okay, to be fair to the movie, it's historically inaccurate as hell. But as a movie, it's not bad. Like, even if you ignore all the absolutely wrong stuff they get with history, it's actually not a bad. But, they were complaining, oh, it didn't win an Oscar. Okay, look, no matter what, this movie was never going to win an Oscar. It's just a generic action movie. Like, there's nothing spectacular about it. Like, it's something you watch and then you forget easily. Even if you don't, like, you'll enjoy it more if you don't know the history of the tribe. But even so, nobody's going to vote for this as an Oscar. It's just not that interesting. It's pretty generic, honestly. But if you can ignore what they get wrong with history, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. Like, just as that. But, in the movie, the Dahomey tribe were big-time slavers. They were very pro-slavery.
Yes.
And in the movie, like, Viola Davis's character, like, literally says at one point, the white men have brought immorality to us. We slave our own people. I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? You are an entire African kingdom, and you think that one vote of Europeans made you start catfighting? Excuse me, miss? No. That is absolute nonsense. But yeah, so it's things like that. But that's the whole thing they're talking about. That's the incorrect narrative they're giving. When in reality, the Dohonga were not only very, very pro-slavery, they actually fought against the Europeans to keep slavery going.
Yes.
And lost, pathetically.
Because I believe they were one of the tribes that mainly benefited from trading with Europeans with slavery for European weaponry.
Yes. Yes, hugely. There were many, but yeah, no, they were
There
one of
was
the big.
many, but I believe like their whole kingdom, that was like their whole
Yeah,
market, even before the Europeans came around, was
no, they're
I believe that if I'm not mistaken, they used to train their army around just capturing people rather than killing them.
yes, their whole economy was built on slavery.
Which is the same to be said for many African tribes. So
Yeah,
I'm not picking on just them. Most African tribes did that
yeah,
during.
most African, yeah, like there's still African tribes today who are like that.
But
But
again, it's
you already
tribal
talked about it.
warfare. Many people don't understand that's how tribal warfare work.
Yeah, no, I mean the Native
It either
Americans
you
the same
either
way.
enslave them or you kill them.
Yeah,
Why? You think they're gonna leave someone around so they can come back and take revenge on you?
exactly. I mean we've seen action movies. We know how that ends. But yeah, no, that's the exact same point. It's just we want to judge things by this weird morality that just doesn't work. But yeah, no. So that's why I agree. So no, I don't like that Black History Month. I don't even like that it's called Black History. It should just be called history.
It
It's
should,
American history. That's
yeah, it
all it
should
is.
be taught with all the other time of history.
And we should look at more than just slavery and frickin' civil rights movements. Like yes, everybody knows Malcolm, Rosa Parks, but nobody knows any of the other people. Nobody knows crap. What's his last name again?
Banneker?
Banneker. I will get that someday. Nobody knows Benjamin Banneker. Nobody knows. Nobody even knows the Tuskegee Airmen, for God's sake.
The
And the
Harlem
Tuskegee
Hellfighters got me the most.
Yeah, and also, on a side note, this isn't really a big deal, but I find it interesting is that they let go of some of the black people who made great innovations in this. One of the things I will grant is not a great innovation, could be, was a black guy invented the Super Soaker. You know the toy, the Super Soaker.
Huh.
And I'm sorry, but we all owe ours and to that great man. God bless him. Oh, come on. Who didn't have fun with the Super Soaker in there?
No, I did. Sorry, you're cutting out in and out there a little bit.
Oh, sorry. But, a black guy invented the Super Soaker, and I'm sorry, hours and hours of fun for all kids. I know, not a great accomplishment, but I like it.
Oh no, great toy.
Yeah, but that's my thing is they don't actually teach much black history.
No.
And in reality, if you're not even going to teach that much, call it history then.
Yeah.
Why not teach it all the way around? I mean, why not talk about the Buffalo Soldier or with the Civil War? Why not talk about more? And why not especially show the lesson that what inspired, because a lot of people forget, black people, as property, they couldn't free themselves. White people had to do it. I'm sorry. Like, I know that sounds awful, but it's true. And the way that happened was that, as Bass Reeves said, we win by being better. They proved they could be better. But nobody wants to do that.
No.
And I think it's a shame because we lose a big part of history. I really don't, as a big lover of history, this bothers me when we try to change history because history has lessons to teach us. And if you change history, you change the lesson. And if you change the lesson, then we're doomed to repeat the same lesson that we failed to learn.
No, I fully agree.
Yeah, so that's my issue with this. And that's why I don't like these. I don't like the woke stuff now because it's essentially become a propaganda tool where they're trying to change everything. and it will lead to bad things because like they're already change books. Like, did you hear about this? They're rewriting books based on sensitivity training.
Yeah, and
Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's insensitive to call
oh,
people ugly.
okay. Well, let's save that for if we do a next part, just because we went over
Yeah,
for this one.
we went way over, but yeah, no. So I agree with you about Black History Month. Is my point.
We'll end this part here.